Okay, we're back. Studio Steve, the NBA 25-26 season is upon us. So I had to come back, flip on the mic, flip on the camera. Canadian flag you see behind me. We got to take a moment. Canadians across the country need to rejoice for a second and talk about this. Toronto Blue Jays have won the ALCS and are back on their way to the World Series for the first time since 1993. We are fucking stoked as a country, as people who love baseball and have one Canadian representative team in the MLB. Let's go, Jays. Springer, you're the motherfucking man. That shit will go down in history. Let's go to LA, take care of business. Drake, stay the fuck away from this entire series. The NBA, action-packed last year. Lots of stuff happened at the end of last year, including the playoffs where a lot of players got injured. Notable players, superstar players, a lot of guys nursing knees and ankles. Tatum out, Kyrie Irving out, Damian Lillard out, Tyrese Halliburton out. In Game 7, that was the most crushing way anybody could get injured. Hopefully all these guys get back to health soon so the league could resume at its highest peak. I wanted to go over the season. I wanted to go over the teams. I wanted to do the full dive in, but every other podcast has done that. I don't want to do that. I want to do something, I guess, sort of fun. There are some fringe things that I think about as an NBA fan and as an NBA, I don't know, people call it sicko. Like, I love fucking basketball. I love this game. I love watching it. I love dissecting it, breaking it down, absorbing it in every way. And there's some fun fringe things that I've been thinking about that I wanted to talk about really quickly. I do also want to go over the major awards. So I just want to leave it at that. I don't want to try to be a person who predicts too much. The 82 game season is super, super long and so many things can change. The apron has kind of limited what teams can do, I would say, in terms of blockbuster trades and all of that kind of stuff. Free agency sort of dead. So there may not be a lot of stuff that happens during the season. Although I say that, and Luka Doncic got traded 2 years ago. So who the hell knows? I don't want to get too detailed about what's going to happen, what team's going to do what, where they're going to end up, who's going to be the NBA Finals. Let's talk awards. Let's talk a couple of fringe things, and let's get to it. Let's just get right into the awards. How about that? Let's get right into the awards because it's a two-parter I want to do with the awards. Let's start with the major award, the MVP of the season. This is funny because I just said I didn't want to go into predictions too much, but I'm going to go into a little bit of predictions. But these predictions are, again, a little fringy, a little fun. Some of them are probably dead on in terms of what's going to happen in the end of the season, including this one. Nikola Jokic for MVP. It's pretty hard to say that, and I'm a homer. I got the Canadian flag in my background. Obviously, I want SGA to win. But Jokic has won the regular season MVP 3 of the last 5 years. Honestly, he should have won it the year that it was given to Embiid, but that's a totally different conversation. As a Canadian, obviously, I want Shea to repeat and win again, which he can very well do. But the numbers that Jokic puts up are historically dominant, and he does it every single year, and he makes it look effortless. Shea had to have one of the most elite seasons that an NBA guard has ever had in the history of the game to win the award, which shows you just how good Jokic is and how he's been doing it consistently on a year-to-year basis, that it took Shea and OKC for that matter, because OKC had the best record in the league. A lot of times that really helps your case. In this case, I think that's what tipped it over for Shea last year compared to Jokic, because the Nuggets didn't have as good of a season. OKC being as dominant as they were really tipped it into Shea's favor, I think. So OKC plus Shea will have to have as remarkable as a season as they both did last year in order for him to win this award over Jokic, which is no easy feat, and I think would take historical proportions for that to happen. So based on that, I think that Jokic wins it again because he now has a better team around him. Some of the best shooters he's had around him and cutters, and his vision and his ability to play the game with his IQ being so high, makes him the perfect candidate to honestly win this award again. It seems like it should be his every single year. So Jokic for MVP. Defensive Player of the Year. I got a couple of awards here that I am sandwiching together as a package deal. Let's get to the first two. Defensive Player of the Year. While I think Victor Wembanyama is the most dominant defensive presence in the league in terms of how he alters and changes the game. I think his team won't be as good in the standings or as good defensively as a team in order for him to claim this award, which is sort of what happened when he lost it to Rudy Gobert a couple of years ago. And then, of course, he missed all the games last year, which prevented him from winning it as well. I think this award will go to Amin Thompson of the Houston Rockets. I mean, quite honestly, Amin Thompson could win the most improved player or the defensive player of the year award in their respective categories. My prediction is that he will win the defensive player of the year this season. The dude can guard every position. He plays with a competitiveness and ferociousness that is the identity of their coach, who will showcase his talents to guard the best players on the other teams. He's got crazy athleticism. His lateral movements are fast and decisive. He's got hops. More importantly, his hops, the speed at which he elevates and gets off the ground, and his second jump are freakish. He's so fun to watch. The Rockets will have a good team defense, which will bode in his favor. So Amin Thompson for defensive player of the year. Now, to package this is the year of the Thompson twins. I'm going to go out and say it right now. Most improved player will go to his brother, Ausar Thompson of the Detroit Pistons. I think that the prediction of the Thompson twins taking over this year is because they're getting into their third year. There's always a third year leap with these players. Ausar missed a bunch of time last year with a blood clot. I think he's healthy. He's at a full offseason under his belt. He played really great in the playoffs. And I think much like his brother, his defensive intensity, his tenacity, his athleticism are a deadly package. Him missing the time last year, you would think would have caught up to him as a young player, but he had an outstanding showing in the playoffs last year. He'll have more of an opportunity this year with the Pistons, with Jaden Ivey recently reported with an injury, which will give Thompson more minutes, and I believe will give him more of an opportunity to be on the floor and cause chaos. Thompson's a great cutter. He knows how to move without the ball, and playing with Cade Cunningham, who's such a smart point guard, he'll get a lot of stuff on the run, on leakouts, on fast breaks. We'll see what his shot looks like. It's to be desired at this point, but we'll see what it looks like this year. Ausar Thompson, most improved player of the year. I am slipping up on a bunch of shit today. Don't worry about it. I'm going to blame it on the cold. I'm going to blame it on the man cold. How about that? We're in cold and flu season. Here's another package deal. 6th man of the year, coach of the year. 6th man of the year, I am going to give some love to Josh Hart. I feel like Josh Hart has to get some love on this award because of his intangibles. He's the engine. He's the motivator. He's a crowd hyper. He brings all the championship qualities every single night to the New York Knicks. I feel like statistically, he's not had the numbers in the past, but I think Mike Brown will have enough opportunities for him in their offensive schemes. And there's enough scores on that team for him to sort of unnoticeably have 12 points and 10 rebounds and 3 offensive rebounds and a couple of steals a game, a couple of blocks. Also, the Knicks should be a great regular season team, which leads me into my package deal for coach of the year, which I'm saying will go to Mike Brown, newly hired Mike Brown of the New York Knickerbockers. 2 seasons ago, Mike Brown was hired by the Sacramento Kings. He led the team to the playoffs for the first time, killing a 17-year drought for the team. He won coach of the year that same year. Then he was let go the following year when they got to a shaky 13-18 start. One of the worst firings, I would say, probably in the last several years from a coaching standpoint. He sat out a season, and now he's back at the helm with the Knicks team that is loaded and that has continuity and consistency, which is often overlooked in the NBA and especially in team sports. When a team has had the scars and the character of getting through the playoff battles over the last few years and they bring back that same core, that type of integrity and trust amongst each other is going to speak volumes on the court. I think he has that kind of team, and they are poised to go back to the Eastern Conference Finals, if not the finals this year. They're loaded. They're ready for a push. Brown is a coach who will use his bench, unlike Tom Thibodeau, for which they have solid pieces and great depth. He's going to utilize some different offensive schemes where Jalen Brunson won't be dribbling the air out of the ball every possession. And I know it's a bit unheard of for a coach to win 2 of the past 3 years on 2 different teams nonetheless. But call me a dreamer. Mike Brown, coach of the year. Rookie of the year, I don't know. I don't want to get too cute with this one. It's pretty hard to not say that Cooper Flag won't win this award. He's NBA ready. His size, physicality, skill, motor, IQ of the game. He's a freaking teenager. He's like, literally like 18 years old. He should be a freshman somewhere in a college campus. He looks the part, barring any unforeseen circumstances. He should be the favorite to win this trophy. Because I'm being silly and picking some fringe players, I will say that a possible runner-up or if something chaotic goes on, Trey Johnson of the Washington Wizards has a chance of ranking on the leaderboard for Rookie of the Year. He gets a lot of run because that team is the Washington Wizards. He's talented. He's a great shooter. He scored 19 points per game, shooting 40% from three in his freshman year last year. In college, he has the opportunity of shooting a lot and getting a lot of minutes. So he's my fringe pick behind Cooper Flag to win that award. Now, just for fun, as a fun aside, there are a number of Canadian players in this league who have a chance at any number of the above awards. Not all of them, but a few of them. Just to rattle them off real quick. MVP, SGA obviously has a chance to win this award again. Defensive Player of the Year, Lou Dort has a chance to win that award with how good that team is defensively and just how good and solid of a lockdown defender he is individually. Most Improved Player, this could actually go to two players who are teammates on the same team, either to Andrew Nembhard or to Benedict Mathurin, both of the Indiana Pacers. Sixth Man of the Year, I don't know what the rotation is going to look like for the Atlanta Hawks, but if Nickeil Alexander-Walker happens to come off the bench for the Hawks, he's very good contender for Sixth Man of the Year. Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, we don't have a couple guys in those categories, but if you think about it, Canadian basketball is on the rise in a hurry, and we've got players that not only stand out and shine, but can win the highest acclaimed individual awards that the league has to offer. All right, a couple of quick fun things before we get out of here. A couple of fun, fringy things to think about throughout the course of the year. The All-Star Game, the ever boring All-Star Game. The All-Star Game was my favorite fucking thing when I was a kid growing up. I used to record it. I used to watch all the things, all the events. Loved every minute of it. It so has fallen off the face of the earth over the last couple of years. The NBA has tried to reinvent it over and over again, and they are doing it again this year. And they're going with the theme of Team USA versus the world. This is going to further fan the flames for the US panicking about who their next star is that's going to take over the league, let alone represent them at the 2028 games in Los Angeles, the Olympic Games. I think that Team World is going to blow Team USA out of the motherfucking gates on this one. Team USA has some good aging stars. Team World has all the best next generation stars. If you have, I don't even care who the hell else is on this lineup, but if your backcourt is SGA, Luka Doncic, and Jokic is your center, I don't even care who the rest of the other players are. You could put two assistant coaches on the team. I don't know who's going to stop those three players, let alone any other two players that you want to throw into that rotation. Oh, sorry. Let's put Giannis up front. Let's put Giannis up front with Jokic, and you got SGA and Luka in the backcourt. I don't even care who the fifth person is. You can put a pair of knee pads in there. Team World, I feel like, is more serious when it comes to international competition for sure. When you see these teams play in Euro, when you see them play in the Olympics, they're going to treat it the same way. And I think they're going to come out and play with a seriousness and a physicality that is going to be unmatched by Team USA. And it's going to cause all the American analysts to lose their shit about who the next best American player is. This narrative has been building since the FIBA World Cup a few years ago when Canada beat USA and USA didn't medal. All of the analysts kept talking about who's our next guy, who's our next guy. It's obviously Anthony Edwards, in my opinion, but we're going to see how that plays out over the next few years. I don't foresee anyone surpassing him as far as the best American player in the next couple of years, but we'll see. This game will further fan those flames, and we're going to see how that turns out. Also, to talk about the All-Star Game, I think if anyone is familiar with, and this is a very off-the-grid name, Johnny Furphy of the Indiana Pacers. Australian-born Johnny Furphy of the Indiana Pacers has got some fucking hops, and he had an amazing dunk in the preseason as well. I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't even know if he's thinking about the slam dunk contest. But what I do think, obviously you got to bring Matt McClung back. to defend his title of 3 years in a row. I think for the first time in NBA history, there will be an all-white final in the slam dunk competition with Johnny Furphy and Mac McClung. Prove me wrong, fellas, but I would love to see that shit. Tell me white men can't jump. All right. There's a couple of other quick things I wanted to touch on. Let's just talk about this real quick and then we'll wrap it up. The ratings. So the ratings have dipped in viewership over the past few seasons. I'm wondering if this trend will continue. You got a lot of superstar players that are missing this season, which has resulted in this is new language that the NBA has been talking about in the last little while. Tanking, we know about. Teams have been tanking for years, but now there are gap seasons. And the gap seasons come from how stringent the new CBA rules are with the various different aprons and the various different caps that are happening across the financial restrictions that affect teams. Gap seasons to me, if I'm a fan and I know my team is going to have a gap season, quote unquote, why the fuck am I tuning in? Like the team is telling me they're essentially tanking. They're just calling it something fancier. A tank season, a gap season. What do I have to look forward to as a fan, especially if the best player is not even on the floor? Who am I watching? Who am I watching? So, are the ratings going to take a hit because of the openness of the gap season, tanking seasons that we're talking about? Because A, teams can't make financial moves because of the restrictions of the curtains, and B, because the best players on those teams are sitting out. It will be determined. Also, and this is very fascinating, last season was statistically the first season in NBA history where more rebounds were made off of 3-point shots than 2-point shots. So, in the 75 plus year history of the NBA, last season was the first time there were more rebounds from more total rebounds from 3-point shots than 2-point shots. That gives you a really good indication of the style of play and the direction that the league is going in. Will that continue? And if it does, how will that affect the fans' appreciation of the game? I know for me personally, I can't stand and I hate watching the run down, take a three, run down, take a pull up three, 2-on-1, let one guy fade out to the corner and kick to him so he can hit a three. Like, and if you're not hitting them, and if you're the Boston Celtics, they hit a lot of threes, but shit, they took 63 three-pointers last year in one of the games. That's a lot of fucking three-pointers. That makes for a boring game. It makes for a lot of misses. It makes for a lot of transition that maybe isn't really even effective because the other team's not playing well or the other team is running down and shooting a three. It kills the offensive game. There's not a lot of half-court offense anymore. I would love if a big person, like I've seen Wemby in the preseason doing a lot of these two-hand knees in your face, Shaquille O'Neal type of dunks. I would love it if a big man would just return to the paint and fucking dominate the paint and take over a game the same way Shaq used to do, same way Dwight Howard used to do. Just, it is such a guard heavy league that a big man with the intention, the physicality, and the tenacity can just take over the game from the paint. Wemby is the perfect candidate for that. Please, somebody play with 2-point baskets more than 3-point baskets. Make it more of an inside out game just for the variety, for the sake of variety. Shooting is important. So is watching a game that is fun to watch. And then the last thing is there's a lot of changes with how the game is being distributed and consumed. So this year we're going into a lot of different variety in how fans can access the games. It's going to be nationally televised a little bit more than it has been with a huge TV deal that was, I shouldn't say a little, probably a lot actually. NBC is bringing the games back. Please bring back that theme song. If you can get Marv Albert and Steve Jones from somewhere, please bring them back just for a couple of games for fun. I loved NBA on NBC. It was the best. So we'll see how that turns out. Amazon's got a great team. Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, UD's over there, Taylor Rooks. Like, they've got a lot of great pieces and players, former players who actually know what they're talking about. So it's going to be interesting to see how people are consuming the game. Are they going to be watching it on the streaming services? Are they going to be watching it on traditional television? As Adam Silver referred to earlier this year, in the summertime, I should say, it's kind of like a clickbait, league now. It's like a social media league because people just want to see highlights and such. if that's how the next generation of the game is consuming it, is just by 2-second clips, 3-second clips, how involved in the game are they? Or do they really give a shit to watch a full game, to dissect a game, to sit down and watch 2 hours of their favorite team play a couple of times a week for the next 6 months? It's going to be really interesting. The viewership, I think, correlates with the style of play. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how this plays out in the next few months. The first 30-ish games of the season, leading right up to Christmas, is going to be really interesting. A lot of sort of murmurs and whispers about potential superstars wanting to move or thinking about moving from their teams. Giannis being the most prominent out of those players. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll see what the league brings us this year. So, anyways, All-Star game stuff, rating stuff, award stuff. Don't want to touch on too much more because the season is so dynamic and it is so fluid that it's going to continue to move and change and create itself and recreate itself the entire year throughout the 82 games until we get to June. I will just be on standby and move with the league as it does and report it as it moves and continues to recreate itself. Don't want to get too far in the weeds about who's going to do what now, aside from what I already said. Studio Steve is back. Steven Samuel, your host, representing Canada and the Toronto Blue Jays, who are going back to the World Series in Major League Baseball. As an aside, go Jays, go Jays. For the rest of the year, Studio Steve, tune in with me. The 25-26 NBA season is here. We're going to cover it all, baby. Peace out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.